Welcome to the Third Knock podcast. My name is Nathan Olsen, and I just wanted to talk about why I started the podcast. So, I started the podcast because I have social anxiety. I wanted to help overcome that and to help bring awareness of marketing and entrepreneurship, the struggles, help people who are starting out who want to improve their lives. And I'm also on a mission to help 100,000 people, but that's a whole nother subject. So, let's just jump right in. So, the third knock. For me, the reason it's just named the third knock is the first knock was my first thing, or the first time that I had a calling. My dad always said, I should be into something with computers because I was good at it, and I didn't listen. I chose to go off and deliver pizza. That's fine. I was young. It was a great job. I loved it. I love pizza. Most people do. Driving around listening to music. It was a great job. Just the pay, eventually you tap out very quickly, and this is the most I'll ever make, and that's not a good feeling when prices are getting more expensive or inflation and things are happening. So then I had to go out and come up with something else. Well, what was taught to us, you find a career, right? So I'm like, I'll go get a career. So I became a plumber. Once again, people who knew me were like, they probably didn't say to me directly, but probably were wondering, why are you out being a plumber when you know so much about computers and different things like that, website design, graphic design and stuff. And anyway, I ended up hurting my back, so I couldn't do plumbing anymore. Second knock, right? Third knock. Now that I'm hurt and injured, I kind of needed to find something else, as well as I was in a very bad situation and my kids were with someone who they were unsafe with, being at home with. And at that point, I couldn't do that. I had to find something that I could do at home and make sure that my kids were safe. So that's the third knock. That's where the name came in. I answered the door. I did it. I started that journey. That was a long time ago. I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I've been in marketing much longer than that, but full entrepreneurship, it started about 16, somewhere around there years. I'm not real good with time. I tell people stories like, oh, just yesterday or last month. And my kids will be like, Dad, that was 3 years ago. And I'm like, oh man, you're right. But so that's why I started this. I wanted to help others. I want to inspire people to chase that dream and know if I can do it, you can do it, because I have a lot of problems. I have ADHD. I have social anxiety. I thought when I started marketing, yeah, this one's gonna make you laugh, I'm sure. When I started marketing, I thought, oh, I don't have to deal with people, right? Because marketers don't really interact with people. They just are the ones creating the graphics and the ads and the websites. And so I don't have to deal with people. Man, that couldn't be farther from the truth. The problem is when you don't deal with people, you're basically working a minimum wage job because these slick salesmen will hire you and they're going to pay you pennies on the dollar because you don't want to deal with people or you don't know how to deal with people. In my scenario, I didn't know how to because I just was never really good with people. The people who were close to me, yeah, I open up. I'm a different person. I'm laughing. I'm joking. Part of the reason why I want to do the podcast so that I can feel more comfortable around people I don't know. So there is a benefit to me. That's it. Okay. Now, the benefit to you is I've been in marketing a long time. I've had all these struggles. If someone that has social anxiety, ADHD, doesn't really like interacting with people, can get out on their own and make money without having a regular 9 to 5, so can you. So can you. So what did I do at the beginning? I just told you I worked for pennies on the dollar because I worked for these people who literally were paying me, $100, $150 a month. And I'm sure they were charging their clients $1,000, $2,000 or whatever for the services I was providing. And even some of them were good enough people who were like, Nate, you need to charge more. Nate, you're charging too little. Don't know what you think. But I thought in my mind, $150. And I can get 100 of them, and I'll be the Walmart of SEO or whatever, or whatever you want to, whatever store or whatever, basically quantity. But it was a bad mindset. Instead, I've had to become better with being likable or being myself, being in front of people and being comfortable, because social anxiety comes off as if you don't know what you're talking about, because it looks like I'm nervous, but that's not what the problem was or is. And so I need to be better at that. And just like anything, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to find things that you can improve about yourself for the customer or client. And that's kind of the thing about it. So I'm always constantly trying to improve, which you should as well. So you got to figure that out, and you got to figure out how and what you're good at. I've talked about that before. I think everyone has a gift. And when you recognize that gift is when you'll start to actually make some big improvements in your life, because you can focus on that gift and you can actually, that gift becomes the gift to the world, right? And then you're doing something that you're good at or you can excel at because it's a gift. As I explained, my dad and other people that I knew were like, Nate, you have a gift. Why are you wasting it on delivering pizzas? Why are you wasting it on this? And And that's okay. Like, it was a lesson I had to learn on my own. And maybe had I jumped right into computers or marketing, that it would have been something that I didn't enjoy or ended up not following through with. But recognizing your gift and then recognizing how you can make money or basically make a living off of that gift, right? So figure out those things or what you're passionate about or something. I started the podcast. People are like, you need to go around a topic that you can talk about and you can go extensively into details and this and that. It's like, well, that's marketing. That's or entrepreneurship or I'm, I know a lot of different things. I could go on and on about plumbing too. I could go on and on about lots of different topics, but the one that I'm most passionate about is entrepreneurship because it helped me be able to make a living that I typically wouldn't be able to make without going to school for a very long time. And there's risk with school too. I met and have known lots of people who've done this. They've gone to school, they get out, and then they find out that the career or the diploma that they received only will land them a job at minimum wage or a little bit above minimum wage. There's people who are working in warehouses and things making more money than them and they didn't go to school. So that's not a good thing, right? That's a pain. I can't tell you when I realized I couldn't make more money delivering pizzas, and I know that sounds stupid, but when I found out that was it, that pain of, oh no, that uncertainty, what am I going to do now? And don't get me wrong, I never thought that I was going to be delivering pizzas the rest of my life. This is just me using examples. So that pain was like, oh man, that sucks. And then I'm like, I need a career. And that's where plumbing came in. And I loved plumbing. I really did. A lot of people hear it and like, oh, what a shitty job, like literally. But I liked fixing things. And that part of it was very, very small. It wasn't the majority of the calls. Most of the time, it's like a faucet. You're installing water heaters and tankless water heaters. And you're doing, you know, putting in hose bibs and fixing or designing sprinkler lines and different things of that nature. So I really enjoyed that part of it. But when I got injured and hurt, it felt like once again, my life came crashing down on me, as well as other reasons I needed to work at home anyway. But it was like, this is what you need to do. So I was being pushed in the direction I needed to go. But that pain of losing your career and going, the uncertainty kicks in again. And it's like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? Because this is a skill set that I worked really hard to get and to acquire and to get to this pay in my life of how much I make per year or whatever your income is. And now it's gone. Now what am I going to do? You're stuck there wondering like, I, I don't know how I'm going to survive. And maybe you feel that way and you haven't even got to that point. Maybe you feel like you can't survive in this new economy. You're feeling like these people want you to work for them night and day and they barely pay you and you just want a weekend off or you just want a day off and it feels like pulling teeth. I know that was a lot of my whys. I got sick of building other people's dreams instead of my own. So now entrepreneurship makes sense for me. And while I mainly focus on marketing, that's the only thing. I need more income sources. When you're an entrepreneur, it's important to get as many income sources that you can, because when you have more income sources, you have less stress, right? So as an example, if my marketing is making me a decent amount of money and my affiliate stuff's making me a decent amount of money and my invention's making me a decent amount of money and my software is making me a decent amount of money and Facebook's, I mean, they're barely paying me, but it's improving and that's making me more money. Just little things, these little side hustles all add up. So when one may drop, let's say that I lose a client in marketing, most people are going to go into a panic because they're like, oh, I just lost a client. It's a lot of my income. It's gone. Once again, that dread kicks in, the same thing. And you're like, I thought going into entrepreneurship, I wouldn't have to worry about this. Well, you do. So the other income sources become supplemental and it boosts what you lost. And then you go back, you get a new client and everything's great again. And then you keep focusing on building up all those little side ones until you have a portfolio of income flowing in to get to those next stages or the next part of your life where you're making more and more. My why is my family. I want my family to be okay. I don't want anyone. I don't want any of you to feel the pain that I've gone through or the struggle or worrying about money, being poor, not having good clothes at school. And don't get me wrong, my mom did a wonderful job. She did. She worked night and day. She did things as a single parent that no parent should have to. Once again, my why. No one should have to go through that. No one should have to. Not the kids, not the parents, nobody. We shouldn't all have to be working our lives away. I think we were meant for much more and much bigger purpose than this. This is just one part of life is the financial end, and it's supposed to be freedom, not a ball and chain, right? So when you're asking for a day off and your boss is all mad and he's like, "Why do you've taken a lot of days off? You're not paying me while I'm gone." Okay, you might have some paid time off, but that's also a perk. They shouldn't complain about that either. So for me, that is my whys. Lots of things. And as I said, I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't want my family to suffer. I don't want anyone to have to struggle like they do. You should still have to work. People do need to work. You need a purpose. And part of that is going out and making earning money. But that's only a small part. There's also we should be helping as a society. We should be lifting people up. We should be offering service to others. We should be, like I said, passionate about making this world a better place. I think that if we all did that, this world would be a completely different image than what we have right now. We have a lot of problems right now. Corporate greed. Usually it takes a two-person house income to be able to even afford a mortgage. I know people paying $4 or $5 a month for their mortgages because they have two mortgages because that's the only way they could get the loan. And man, how I'm out here when I was in positions like that, I'm out there working my butt off and I'm over here like I am doing all this stuff and I don't even get to enjoy my home because I'm never there. What am I even doing this for? And that I hated it. So I said, you know what? No more. I found my gifts. I knew my gifts. Now I had to figure out how can I make money doing it? And how can I get in front of the people who want to hire me? How can I show up? I'm out here trying different things and I got really creative. I really did. I was creating map listings that was like, want to rank here? And they're like, how is this marketing guy showing up for a plumbing search? How is this marketing guy showing up for an electrician search? And these different things. But it brought me in business. And then I was printing off flyers and like hanging them up on the bulletin boards at the park, at the grocery stores, at the hunting supply store, at the anywhere that would let me hang a flyer. I was hanging flyers, you know? And being honest, it barely generated anything. I got a lot of look-de-loos from it, but nothing in stone. But I had to try. And then I went out and I was printing off magnets for my business. And, excuse me, with the magnets, I took the magnets and I would, at the time, the newspaper was still kind of a big thing. So I'd go out, I'd put my 75 cents in the newspaper, I'd open the newspaper up, throw my magnet in each one. Shut it, go to the next place, put in my 75 cents, 50 cents, whatever it was. Boom, opened up the newspaper, put my magnets in there. And I did that. And even with flyers and things. And that generated some business. And I was like, okay. I'm starting to understand marketing a little bit more and I'm understanding kind of how things work. I also found some websites, forums and stuff online that you could advertise on. So I was doing that as well. And it was like, okay, that works. And then I learned a little bit more about ads. And obviously I learned SEO for my clientele and stuff and started doing SEO for myself. But basically, that's kind of what it takes. It takes this mindset that you're going to make this win no matter what. And I had many reasons why I had to make this work and make it a win because A, my kids weren't safe. B, I couldn't do plumbing anymore. My back was injured. And if I did, I would be a very miserable, mean, ornery person who literally hated life more than enjoyed it, and no one would want to be around me. And eventually I would not be able to physically do it because the pain would become unbearable. So I had no choice but to make it work. And that's the mindset it takes to overcome what you need. A formula, say. All of these things have formulas. a lot of things on earth. Overcoming addiction is a very similar formula to creating a business. And like I said, I want to give back. I want to help others. And so I'm big into the recovery. I love people who are in recovery and doing better for themselves because that's a choice. And what does it take to make a better world or a better place? To make that choice. And business is no different. No different. It's the same formula. It's the same formula. You just have to want it so bad. You have to want it more than anything. And I'm not some billionaire or even multi-millionaire. I'm just a guy who works for himself and makes enough to pay for my family, and we can live on a one income source. Now, my significant other, she works, but I don't hold her to say, hey, you need to pay this, this, and this, and this. She does pay a few things because purpose is important. But there were times where I've paid it all. I can pay it all. So if that's something you're looking into, that's why I started this podcast. So I like to bring on other guests and they talk about their struggles and their beginnings and the things that they've gone through, because I think that's important, because a lot of people are talking about the end, right? Here I am on my yacht. It's a Monday morning and I don't have to worry about work. That's an unrealistic expectation in entrepreneurship. I've never worked harder for an employer than I do for myself. I've always, and I was a hard worker. I always tried to do the best that I ever could in any job that I ever had. So it's kind of discouraging in this new era, watching this terrible customer service, watching people not do a good job and you don't get what you pay for. That bothers me. And yeah, call me a boomer. I'm a boomer. I don't care. If you pay for something, you should get what you pay for. And that's a frustrating thing. So when you go into this with that mindset that you're going to be the best or you're going to do the best job you can, people are going to recognize it in this era. You have untapped potential. You have right now, this is in such high demand that even these big companies are failing at it. Look at Chick-fil-A. They don't have the best chicken sandwich, although a lot of people might argue with me on that. Regardless, though, they don't have the best chicken sandwich. They don't have the best, the lemonade, maybe, okay? The lemonade, okay, no. But it's not so much that it was the best. They have really great customer service, right? They might have a big line, but they're going to get you in there and out of there, right? Menu's not huge, but once again, their customer service, they try to go above and beyond, and they have a formula. They follow that formula. We go to another one, since I was talking about getting you through that line and taking care of you. In and out, very small menu. I'm not one of the huge hyped up In-N-Outs, the greatest of all time. I enjoy In-N-Out time and time again. It's not bad. I would definitely choose it over some of the other fast food joints. But once again, their customer service is pretty good. And like the name says, they get you in and out. The line might be huge, but they're actually fairly quick, even with this ginormous line most of the time. They also, once again, so they're trying to be the best that they can. Even going into big corporations, let's look at McDonald's. I mean, maybe it's not high quality, maybe it's not even, whatever, but I don't know. I'm not trying to bash any company. I'm trying to emphasize what they do right. And consistently, McDonald's, you know what you're getting. Maybe, maybe it's not the best, but you know what you're getting and you know what you're paying, and you expect, they get you through that line really quickly. If you're in a hurry, McDonald's is probably on one of the top of the list because of that reason. So that's the mindset that you need when you go into this, is you need to identify these gaps in the marketplace or whatever you want to call it. And so with SEO, at the time when I first got into SEO, a year contract was the norm. And I was like, I'm not going to do contracts. Everybody laughed at me and they were like, Nate, you can't do that. You can't do no contracts. If you do that, all you're going to do is you're going to put in all the work. And in 30 days, everyone's going to cancel on you and you wasted all your time. That's untrue. Did I have a couple that did it? Oh, absolutely. But that was my own learning experience of positioning myself as something I shouldn't have been positioning myself as. That wasn't my core thing. My core thing wasn't that I don't have contracts. That was just one of the many things that made me great. And so you got to figure out those gaps. Another good example in website design. I don't charge anything up front. I build the entire website out, not just an example. I build the entire thing. It's done. It's built. It's ready to be packaged up, put and deployed onto their website server, and everything's good to go. And at that point, that's when they pay me. Because other designers, they go through, they design the website, it ends up being garbage. It goes back and forth, and you're like, I hate this, I hate that. They rebuild, they do this, they do that. 6 months or whatever goes on, and you're like, I needed this website months and months ago, and you're discouraged, and you're just like, just launch it. I'm just done. Just do it. It's fine. Whatever. Just get it done. But now you're stuck with this website that you hate, right? It's a horrible website. And you're also afraid to hire another one because you don't want to do it again. It's not just, it's very draining of your time, your mental, you're sick of it. So how do I solve that? I just told you how I solve it. And people are just blown away because once again, they told me, Nate, there's going to be people who you build this entire website and then they don't pay you. And it's happened. And it does happen. But that's the cost of doing business for me. In order to be the best and to supply what I feel is the best service, I have to do it that way. But once again, I had to position myself in a way that filters out the ones that are going to do that and not pay me. But they don't get the website, right? So I still own that design. I still can possibly repurpose it for somebody else and just change some branding and colors and make smaller edits. So therefore, not all the time was wasted. So that's kind of the mindset. I did want people to understand the beginnings because there's going to be you're going to work 68 hours a week probably if you're really passionate about it. You need to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Getting in front of a camera. You think I want to jump on here and get in front of the camera? Not only am I doing this with no revenue from this, no revenue. I make $0 off this. Not only is it $0 off of this, I'm paying to do this. I'm paying for software. I'm paying for my time to edit. I'm paying for my time to upload it, do graphic design. I'm paying to basically go around and ask people to be on the podcast, which they're volunteering their time. Some people I'm doing stuff to help them so that they will be on my podcast as a guest. Which, by the way, if you're watching this and you want to be a guest, look up Third Knock Podcast. You'll see. Be a guest. Fill out the form. Contact me on Facebook. Google me, Nathan Olsen, entrepreneur. Get a hold of me. I'd love to have you on as a guest. And I think everybody has a story. Everybody has that rough beginning. Everybody has usually there. In the end, if you don't give up, there's going to be a success. A lot of people that I know will make comments and say, Nate, what I love about you is that you always make it work. I don't think that it's that I have a mindset that makes it work. I think that I'm too dumb to know that I lost. And because I don't know that I lost, I keep going. I keep going and going and going and going until I win. I don't recognize that it's a loss. I recognize things as value. I love value. I see value in everything. As I was saying, if people don't pay, I just told you there's still value there. Learning to position. Maybe me doing all those flyers didn't land me any clients, but I learned how to make a better flyer. I learned how to be a better graphic designer. I learned how to go out and talk to people as I was hanging these flyers. I learned it was a learning experience, which then led to the magnets in the newspaper bins, which did result in business, right? So just because it isn't working doesn't mean it can't work. You're going to evolve. You're going to continue to get better. It's like riding a bike or anything else. You can't just jump on a bike and go, oh, nope, riding a bike ain't for me. I can't do that. You keep going. You keep doing it. Keep going. Keep doing it. If it's really that important to you, you'll make it work. Generally, you find an entry-level thing that you can make money on or a little bit of. I've done a lot of things. I made concrete statues at one point out of molds, and I sold them. I made all my money back from buying the molds and everything, and I made a little bit of money. But it wasn't enough money to survive and do what I needed to do, so I moved on to another project. I sold these cell phone boosters when I was younger. I got 10,000 of them for like $10, and I was selling them for anywhere from $1 to $5 each. This was in my teenage high school years. I still sometimes run across people asking for them, which is hilarious. Anyhow, yeah, I bought stuff for in bulk off of eBay, resold it. Now you have AliExpress and things. I did those things. I tried a lot of different things in order to become an entrepreneur and to do what I'm doing. And now I'm trying to do even more. And like I was talking about the income streams, you got to kind of do that. I've always wanted to be an inventor, not just for money, but to help. I've been telling you my story this whole time. I want to improve the world. when I was down there and I was struggling and I was hurting and I had no one to talk to about it, I had no one to comfort me, I had no one to give me advice because I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I didn't know anyone that could say, Nate, this is what you need to do, or hey, this is where you're going wrong, or this is the roadmap. So I didn't have that. And so I tried a couple to attend some events and things. And what I found really quickly was you're paying to be sold. I'm paying to go to this event for them to sell me on a course. And then once I buy the course, they're selling me on software. And then if I buy the software, then they're selling me on you the marketing. You get the point. The sell just keeps selling, sell, sell, sell. They're selling you all the way to the end, and you're never going to make it doing that. You're building their dream, and now you're paying for their dream. So this podcast, yes, it cost me time, it cost me money, it cost me sleep. It cost me all sorts of different things, but I think it's important because I want to help others. That's my goal, is to help others. When I do make it to the point to where I am a multimillionaire or whatever it is, that's going to free up my time to help every others full time, as well as I will have more revenue or income to help those that are financially hurting and hopefully get them into their own entrepreneurship program to where they can go out and do it without me going for 6 easy payments of $4.99. I can get you into my program with my software, with my and they're all out for their own good. They're not looking out for others like even some of them pretend to be. I had to learn that the hard way. I don't want anyone to go through that. I want you to make it. I want you to succeed. I want you to be happy. I want your family to be happy, your friends. I want everyone that is struggling to know you can do this. You don't need a degree in college. You don't need all these things. And being honest, I have had to learn grammar and things that I didn't know because I didn't do well in school. I told you I had ADHD. I have social anxiety. I couldn't go to the teacher and ask for help because of social anxiety. One time when I was in junior high, I missed so much school that I didn't know where my first class was. And I had such social anxiety that I'd walk around the halls for the entire class because I didn't go ask the office or anybody for help. And back then, nobody even stopped me or questioned. I did this every day for many times until I finally convinced, or finally just it became such a pain that my mom put me in homeschool. And then the next year we would try to get me back in school, and it would be like a rinse and repeat cycle of horrible. I can't explain it. Anyone who doesn't go through it don't know what it feels like. You don't know. Point being is that it was that bad. So I didn't do great in school. I had to go get my GED. I didn't graduate high school. I had to go get my GED. I was younger than I should have been at the time to graduate high school, but that's okay. It wasn't a knowledge problem. Remember, I wasn't stupid. I just I didn't get everything. So the grammar I didn't get. So I had to learn grammar. I've had to learn how to be better at that. And that was only 5-6 years ago. My first clients, one of them thought that I was hiring people in other countries to do the marketing for me, even though it was me, because the grammar was so bad that they were like, there's no way this was you. And it was me. And I had to learn. But like I said, you have to identify your weaknesses and improve on them. One of my weaknesses is getting in front of the camera. Here I am, showing up, doing it. So just get out there, do it. Feel free to reach out to me, man. If or gal or whoever's watching, sorry, I'm from an era where we just use certain terms, but anyone, you can do this. If you need a little bit of guidance or help, reach out. Don't message me trying to sell me stuff. If you do, it's just going to waste your time, my time that I could be using to help others. And I'm not going to buy anything from you through a message. I never have. I never will. If this helps one person, then I will continue doing it. I will continue to pay to be out here and to publish these. Take care.